Hello, everyone, and welcome to another interview on the State of Maritime Wrestling podcast. I am your host, the Maritime Wrestling Superfan, here to keep everyone updated on all the news in the maritime wrestling scene, and here to interview all your favorite maritime wrestlers or commentators, referees, promoters, and all of your favorites in the Maritimes. And for this interview, I am sitting down with one of the most amazing commentators in the maritime wrestling scene. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the newsman, Bill freaking Yard.
Oh man, thank you so much for that fantastic introduction. I don't think in the ring or outside of the ring I've ever been referred to as anyone's favorite at anything. So that was a delight. Glad to hear it. Happy to be here. It is my first appearance on a wrestling podcast. Just saying. So this is the initial. I finally made it to the big leagues. Like finally got someone finally called me up and asked me to be on their podcast about wrestling. I guess is
Oh
what I'm
yeah.
trying to say. So I'm very happy to be here with the super fan, the guy who's been to more shows and always likes things faster than I like them on Facebook and TikTok. It's often a race anytime you see wrestling to go and get that first like. And if you can beat Connor, then that's the upper echelon of speed that I try to compete with all the time.
So, I got some questions for you, man. Were you a wrestling fan growing up?
I was, and I will share with you this highly embarrassing story about how I started watching wrestling because we're on a podcast, right? This is a safe
Right.
space. Because so I'm in high school. It's like 1998. Don't do the math on that. And I'm a big fat kid. I'm not doing anything. Very overweight, terrible acne, not much of a social guy. I did a lot of video games and stuff, but I did like me some Star Trek, as you could imagine. So if that should paint the whole picture for everybody. But I was watching Star Trek Voyager on UPN, and they did the UPN, which would have Star Trek running into WWF SmackDown at the time. And so I'd watch Star Trek, and they did a crossover episode where The Rock was on there as an alien who was like fighting in essentially the UFC of space. To make a long story short. And so I saw that, and the whole time he's on there, like he does his part, and then they cut to a commercial for SmackDown. It's got his face on it, and then so I was watching this, and then eventually I get to the end of Star Trek, and I'm like, oh, wrestling is on. Like right after, I might as well like wait around and see. And so then I started sticking around, and I'm watching wrestling, and then sooner or later, I'm not watching Star Trek anymore. I'm only watching wrestling because now I'm only coming down. I got to stay up till like 11 o'clock at night on a school night watching this thing. But so I got into SmackDown that way. And then you start watching SmackDown. This is how they used to get you when there was cable TV. And the whole time you're watching SmackDown, they're talking about what's happening on Monday Night Raw. And you're like, oh my God, there's a whole other show. Like I can twice a week. Oh my God, this is amazing. And then you go to watch Monday Night Raw, and then all of a sudden they're talking about like, oh, last night on Sunday Night Heat, Al Snow defeated D'Lo Brown. And then you start like, oh my God, 3 times a week. And then, they just keep adding shows. They just keep piling up. And before you know it, you're watching wrestling 5 days a week. But pretty quickly, once I started getting into it, and I remember the specific show, the very first wrestling show that I ever saw, which of that episode of SmackDown, because The Rock took on the Dudley Boys in a handicap match in the main event, and they put him through a table. And I was just blown away because I was like, oh, The Rock he's actually wrestling. He's competing tonight. This is so great. I'm going to tune in. And I'm going to get to see The Rock. And then the Dudleys just raffle stomped him and put him through a table. So it wasn't too long after that I started telling my friends, like, it was like evangelism. I was like, hey, have you guys heard the good news? Like there's wrestling. You wouldn't believe what these guys do. You got to come watch it. Like it's amazing. And, they would give you the story. Oh, it's fake, whatever. And then they would come in and they would just have such a good time that within the first few months, I had a weekly, like Thursday night SmackDown party and a giant, like buffet we used to call the Smack Snack of like chips and stuff. And then every week, giant weekly party. I'm just sitting there on the couch, just like chirping through it, kind of like I do in CCW. And that was how I got into watching professional wrestling. And then, kind of changed my life in a lot of ways that we can get into later.
Mm. Who was your favorite wrestler
Oh,
growing up?
it was Y2J Chris Jericho, 100%. I love the talking and like the attitude and everything that he always brought. The technical wrestling was great too. He's a guy who really knows how to like reinvent the wheel, come up with new gimmicks. But all the trash talking he did to Stephanie, all the battles with the Faction when they had their giant stable that was just stomping everybody, like all the things that it was like every week you'd watch Y2J in those years. He was in a handicap match every week, and then eventually he would start winning them. It was like he could adapt. So I remember one night he had like a 6-on-1 handicap match, and he won it in the end. It was just ridiculous. And then oh my god, the whole bit where he was the undisputed champion, and he beat The Rock and Stone Cold in the same night, like very, very smart storytelling with Jericho, and just so much fun to watch him. Even though I wouldn't say there's anything in his move set that was like super exciting. He had the walls of Jericho, which is great, but he just knew how to hit it the right thing at the right time.
Mm. So, with you, when you said you were doing commentary on CCW, what made you want to jump onto commentary and work for commentary for CCW?
Yeah, well, there's two playing factors in there. The first one is that during COVID, I had a pretty bad injury. And so I sort of continuously, I thought I was done with wrestling, as a lot of guys did at the time with COVID. But there's this guy starting a little promotion called CCW, and I had promised him that I was going to have a match on the very first CCW show. And what happened was that show was scheduled 2 weeks into the first major COVID lockdown. So it was supposed to happen, but then it didn't happen. But then eventually, the world changes, everything clears up, such as it is. And CCW was putting on its first show. So I agreed to come back and to help get everything rolling and everything started. But I had tore my LCL, and so I'd say a shadow of my former self. I had to kind of change a lot of what I was doing, because I was wrestling quite, a lot at sometimes, and then there's a lot of history there. But I had to completely change what I was doing, and luckily I got in there with some wrestlers. Like I wrestled Fantana a lot, which was great because he can meet you. He's quick enough. He can get you anywhere that you need to go.
Yeah.
So that was a blessing. Guys, Leon Wolf was another one who could really step in there and help me out on that aspect. So I would wrestle, and then I'd have a match. I'd spend like 2 weeks trying to fix my knee again. And then I'd do a week of like physical preparation, and then I'd be wrestling again, and I'd tear it again. And this was just the cycle over and over again that I was trying to work. I couldn't lunge, Connor. I couldn't do lunges. So, which was a huge part of my gimmick, if you will. But anyway, so we got to a point where there's lots of guys. CCW was growing. There's lots of guys. There's lots of wrestlers around. So I was like, I need to find something else to do. And there was sort of a deficit of commentary and things. That the shows were just getting videoed, and they were getting edited, and they were getting put up, but it was flat because there was you're just listening to crowd noises and ambiance stuff. So I was like, I had pitched Rob the idea of just letting me do commentary, and he just, we didn't agree on a price. We didn't talk about what it was going to look like. This was at Christmas Clash 2023, I think. And I had a Microsoft Surface tablet and a microphone and a small table, and I sat in the middle of the audience on the hard cam side, and I just sat there and commentated the whole show, and then I sent it off to get edited and edited it into the show there. So I've done a lot of like YouTubing and TikToking and that sort of content creation. So it seemed like if I started off doing the commentary, then I'd also get access to this footage, and I could start making clips and start making content for the CCW page. And then eventually that's what I do for a living now. I'm a content creator, and I work with a bunch of different companies running their social media channels. And so it's essentially the same thing that I'm doing for CCW. I kind of started it over there. And then it was just a good, like, logical progression to try to give people more content and more things that they're looking for.
So, with when you were on commentary, what were your most challenging matches in CCW that you ever had to call?
Ooh, let me see. I would point to the ladder match in recent history, the first and only ladder match, because you don't know what's going to happen going into that, and you have to hit a specific tone. Like there's an ask when you're doing commentary on a match like that. When if I'm just, it's the start of the show, it's the second match on the card, you have so and so versus so and so. I can just sit there and I'm along for the ride and I'm just reacting and I'm seeing things. And then I can do basically whatever I want. I can call it however I want to. I can argue with Scott Lee Crew. If I happen to have a guest commentator, we can get into it and we're just reacting. When you have this ladder match, there's a lot of things that have to all come together at the same time. Like first, you need that really good story. And you have to be able to tell that story again to people on commentary who are going to be probably watching this match. And it might be their first time ever seeing CCW, because that one is going to get a lot of traffic. It's going to get a lot of shares and bumps. It's going to be great for the YouTube algorithm. So they have to have a good story. I have to retell that story as this match is going on. You have to have great guys in the ring who can execute it and get you like emotionally to that point, which they did 10,000%. And poor Slick McGrick was bloody from the first 2 minutes of the match. It was just, we couldn't tell if it was his head or his hand or whatever. So you're legitimately concerned for this guy and you're trying to tell the story and you don't know if things are going to get cut off. You're seeing crazy stunts and you're holding your breath because these guys that you care about are about to fly off of a ladder. And at the same time, you got to keep delivering that story. You got to call the action, but you also have to specifically hit that magnitude of what is coming on and the, oh my God, you have to know when to shut up too, which is hard for a guy like me a lot of the time, So whenever you have a match that is specific things need to happen and then you have to dial it in, it's like a pyramid where all those bottom things have to come together. And if all of that has worked and you got the story and you got the guys and you did the move and the crowd is there and the energy is there, then if all that lined up, I get a chance to do the commentary at the top and put that final layer on top of it. And then I can totally shit the bed right there and then just ruin a perfectly good moment as well. So those high stakes commentary moments are what makes it the hardest for sure. And there's been like the big blow off match between Rick Owens and Scott Lee Crew a while back where they had all the weapons and stuff on them and they were getting disarmed. That was another one where we had to capture almost like comedy, but then also, well, it was funny, but he was going to eat his eyeball with a fork or something like that. Scott Lee Crew, like, that's pretty dangerous, so you have to hit comedy, then you got to bring it back in and you're calling the action. And then you're trying to be fair to the bad guys, as a more of a face, a good guy commentator. I tend to be more about the sport. And then you have to also recognize the caliber of wrestler of the bad guy and give them their props and they're wrestling well and doing good things as well, because then it's more disturbing when they cheat.
Yeah. And so also on the commentary, who were your most challenging wrestler you called out on commentary?
Oh, like that I called out, like who wanted to like come kick my ass after?
Something like that.
Ooh. Well, I think I dodged a bullet with Chevron because I think I usually did a pretty good job of calling him. He's a fantastic wrestler. I called a lot of his stuff really well. I might have caught him cheating a couple of times, but I think he kind of took his anger out on Conrad Pollock in the summertime. Like he kind of fixated on Conrad Pollock. So I just kind of stayed out of it. Let me see. Nick Strong was an interesting guy. I've done commentary with him a couple of times, and he's as explosive on the mic as he is in the ring. And you'll just be like, maybe like calling something like for his breath. He'd just be sitting there. He's like, I didn't get this on the video and I sincerely regret it. But one time I was doing commentary with Nick and he had a whole giant array of food set out on the commentary table. He was sitting there like at one point, I swear he ate a whole chicken. He had like a whole chicken in his hands and he was just like ripping it apart. And then I was commentating. I was going like minding my own business and something happened that he didn't like. And he was just like, what did he just say? What did he just say to me? And then it was like, oh my God, because the guy, everything is so bassy with him and his brother. They're so bassy and so low. So when you have them on commentary, your volume bar just explodes. Like I probably just blew the bar myself because I'm so close to the camera. And it's was like,
Uh,
darn, I didn't know he was going to attack me for what I said. Like, you know, and then he just kind of went back to his chicken or whatever he was doing at the time. But
oh yeah.
it's interesting. All the guest commentators we have on CCW, they bring something a little interesting with them every time.
Yeah. And when you were talking about like Conrad Pollock and so what is it like working on commentary with Conrad and when Salem Wilder was on commentary, what's it like working with him and also that that time when Bubbles came to Fredericton and was on commentary for CCW. Tell me what it's like working with them on
Well,
commentary.
the interesting thing is that I got to work pretty extensively with Conrad Pollock since Salem Wilder has been back in action. So she's not on commentary anymore. So
Oh
Conrad
yeah,
is in there. The summer sort of ended, so Bill Yard slid back into commentary at that time, but I was actually gone for a little while. But I do a lot of the
right,
production stuff behind the scenes, like we're setting up cameras. I set up all that equipment. I'm running
right.
around doing that. You know, occasionally my little brother gets in the ring. I like to leave the building for that. You know, those Pat Persuasi matches, you know,
Oh yeah.
but so I think maybe one time I got to do commentary with Salem at like a Doketown show or something. Like there's maybe, I can't remember where it was, but I only got to work with her once, and she's excellent. And I try to keep telling her every time I see her that there aren't enough female wrestling commentators, because if you had to name one right now, I don't think you could. It might be a better man than I, but we could definitely use more. And she was fantastic at it. I think she had a really good tone, really good manner about her for talking to the audience and communicating and reacting to things. So, you know, that always be an option. I'd love to see, on that note, Bitter Bia Moss. I'm just going to put that out there into the ether. If she hears this, she would be an excellent professional wrestling commentator. She has
Oh yeah.
unlimited technical knowledge and great personality that I'm sure comes through a microphone. As I did get to do commentary with her one time at a Summer Clash. She was only out for one match. It was Vanna Black versus Miley for the NBWA title way back. And she was fantastic at it at the time. Got a great clip, was on my TikTok channel forever. So I got only the small opportunity to work with Salem, although I edited every match that she called. So I got a really good chance to listen. And with Bubbles, it is, I want to say my biggest regret of that show. But you know, I say that with an asterisk, but I didn't get a chance to do any commentary with Bubbles. I actually was busy in the first half of the show. My brother was busy.
Right, yeah.
And the production was insane for that show. The amount of wire running, and then I had to network with other social media teams, like 2 other social media teams, one for the Exhibit Center, one for Bubbles himself. You know, and so I got to see him for a few minutes at the start of the show, and then I caught him on his way out of the building, which he kind of buried me. All right. Bubbles kind of buried me. If you remember that show, there was the giant blow-off match with Horsepower Hunter Sampson and Zane Valentine. Right. And that was the ultimate moment. Hunter Sampson, he's got the urine sample. For those who don't know, the storyline was, it was alleged that Horsepower Hunter Sampson had failed his drug test, and Zane was spreading those rumors. And they did a urine analysis, and Zane and Eric Bass had switched the vials, and then boom, Horsepower had failed the test, and then eventually he was exonerated. And then at the end of the match, Eric Bass is in there and he's got the urine sample. Hunter Sampson takes it, boom, into the face of Zane Valentine. The crowd loses their minds. Perfect on-brand match for a Trailer Park Boys show, if you ask me. And then boom, Hunter Sampson wins the day. Great, good guy. So next match on the card, Butter Love versus the Incredible Miracle Pat Persuasi. And I go and I'm editing this match, you know, the newsman Bill Yard, and I go to put this thing out, and Bubbles is on commentary, and he's like, "Geez, they didn't clean the pee up. Those guys are wrestling in pee." And sure enough, The only camera footage I had is just me. I'm out there, big smile on my face. I'm walking through a puddle on the ring, not realizing what had happened because, of course, this is pro wrestling. You know, it was gimmicked,
Oh
if
yeah.
you will. And then it's just that whole match. I'm just like, well, he's right. And I went out there and no one cleaned this ring up, and I'm wrestling in this urine analysis sample that just blinded Zane Valentine. It's like, God. And that was my interaction with Bubbles. So basically, I caught him on the way out, and I was like, what are you doing, Bubbles? Like, you're talking about the ring. I can't remember how I brought it up. And then he's like, yeah, you guys were wrestling in P. It was continuity. And then I gave him some line about, thanks for showing up. We never had a continuity guy before. And I gave him some shit and we had a laugh. And he went off never to be seen again. So, yeah. So that was a slice of life for sure.
Yeah. So, what inspired you to become the commentator as you are with in CCW? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I saw that there was the deficit that we didn't have commentary, and I thought that would be a great role, and I needed to transition to something while I'm battling back injury that I just kept re-injuring over and over again. I'm having a pretty good off season right now, but I'll see how I'm going in a few weeks. But the opportunity from like doing a lot of live streaming on Twitch. I did a lot of YouTube. My YouTube channel and my TikTok were previously Grand Theft Auto role play channels. Right. So I'd log in, I'd puppeteer this GTA character around. I was Billiard the Newsman. There was the thing. That the character came from Grand Theft Auto. It wasn't something that I came up with. Oh. And how that, yeah. So so I'm playing on probably at the time, I think it was the second largest GTA RP server. It was SVRP. It was a knockoff of No Pixel. It was like a side channel, if you will. And so I came up with the character Billiard, and because of a billiards joke, a like pool joke, because it's billiards. And I was going to be a pool playing like Frank Grimes, kind of down on his luck gambler. Is the thing. I would one of the rules of the character is that I would always gamble or wager whenever asked, and I would go and bet everything, lose my hat, lose my shirt, like the whole bit. And so I came into the server, and they gave me the opportunity to become a news reporter. There was a guy I met that I was hanging out with, and he was the head of the Weasel News. They have in Grand Theft Auto, it's Weasel News. And they're just like the worst crooked, like tabloid news people. So I took that opportunity, and then I got really good at it. And that's what I built my YouTube and my TikTok channel off of for the first while. When the COVID shutdown happened, I had been streaming on Twitch. I had been like simul streaming to YouTube and that at the time, but I sold my house and I moved out into the country where I am now. And the internet wasn't good enough at that time to live stream anymore. So I had to lean all into just YouTube videos and just pre-recorded content, not live stuff anymore. And I missed doing the live stuff because you get a lot of your best stuff in the moment, in the heat of the moment when it's live. So being able to do commentary, I thought, well, this is great because I already have this channel and I already have this character, Billiard Newsman, and he looks just like me. Even the Grand Theft Auto character wears the blackish, bluish blazer with the yellow jacket and a yellow shirt and everything. So I went down to Value Village. I found the exact same clothing, and then I started wearing it. And then this way I was able to keep some of my GTA fans when I started dropping wrestling content all the time. But it's a war of attrition. I feel like every time for a while there, every time I would gain wrestling followers, then I'm losing GTA followers. And it just stays at kind of like equilibrium. But now wrestling is like dominating, taking over, because I started doing some WWE, AEW stuff. So that gave me this great avenue to take that character and then start doing it live in a wrestling setting and getting all of my content that way for it. And then it was really nice because it was already there. It was already ready and accessible for me. So it's just an extension of another character I was already doing, except the GTA Billiard talks like a little bit more like this because he smokes all the time. So it's got a little bit more like of a thing, but it's too hard to do that live for a whole show. I already lose my voice by the end of most of these CCW shows.
Yeah. And so what were your favorite matches overall in CCW?
Ooh, there is the first one that comes to my mind from last year. There's a Caden versus Spike SD match. It was
Right,
pretty
yeah.
pretty early on last year, I think, and that was like the breakout Spike SD match where he kind of punched his ticket. That I think that really ended his rookie year, and it was like this was a fantastic match. It was back and forth, super technical.
Mm.
Spike has a brain for wrestling way
Oh,
beyond the amount of time that he's been there. He can put together a match. He can remember all his shit. Some of us have to make it all up on the fly because we can't remember anything once we get out there. I
oh
do.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm a crowd work guy. I'll go out, make it up on the fly. I put people down, lots of crowd work. That's how. And I like doing comedy. Not there's not enough guys doing comedy. I'll throw that in
Mm.
as well. But that Spike SD Caden match, that was a breakout. And then we were really hard on Caden and his knee pads at the time
Oh
too.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that fire, that pot is still on the stove between me and Caden. We're gonna see when he gets back over here. He's been elsewhere doing some great work.
Yeah. He's been doing like an in-ring segment over in IPW.
Yeah,
Maritime. It's been doing good with that.
yeah,
Um,
he's been all over. He's been all over the place. He's, great gimmick, great talker. So I know he
yeah.
had that. They had that arm injury of one sort or another that kind of sidelined him for a little bit, and they started doing those in-ring segments. So hopefully
Right. Yeah.
that's all good to go, and we're gonna see some more Caden wrestling
Oh
in the
yeah.
not too distant future.
Uh, and so, who would you like to bring in on commentary for future CCW shows?
Ooh, I feel like you have to look at the CCW women's division and the people that have been coming through there. And I would love to get any of the trio because we had that triple threat match last month. Vanna Black, Stormy
Right.
hasn't been on commentary like for real to really go out and give it a go. I'd love to get Salem back for another one as well. It's not having a chance to work very much with her. When you go to the other divisions and you think about interesting personalities and interesting talkers that you would want to have on commentary, you have to take a look at Shano. I
Oh
think
yeah.
with the radio background and then the voice and like the character and the bruiser,
Yeah.
that he is, I think he could bring something a little special on there as well.
Yeah.
He'd be a
I
smart pick.
think. Yeah, I think he would be really good on commentary, though.
And on that note, it would it would be painful, but I would do it for the CC audience, and I would commentate at least one match with Big Bad LG.
Oh
Okay,
yeah, another good.
that's
Another.
another one. I feel like you just have to basically call the match and then swing the camera to LG once in a while, and something ridiculous would come out of his mouth, or he'd have like the little beef tartare thing, or he'd just be drinking champagne, not paying attention. There'd be his feet up on the table.
Oh
Knocking
yeah.
over my bear paws. Be Big Bad LG. No regard. No regard, that guy.
Yeah.
But
I
he
actually
recently he
still
started doing
remember.
that picture in picture with his glasses. So we have his entrance from Clash 42, and he's wearing the glasses so you can get his perspective as he's coming out and people are yelling at him. It's alarming. I would recommend you go and watch it. The things people are saying to him and yelling and looking like they want to throw at him when he comes out. You ever want that first person Big Bad LG experience? Go check out Clash 42 on YouTube.
Hmm. I still remember there was one show. I think it was at the Capitol Winter Club there. I think it was the last show for at the Winter Club, and I remember. I think this was during when Slick was injured and LG was injured, so you brought both of those guys on commentary. Oh man, it was
Oh yes. Oh yeah. I remember. I think I was sitting right in the middle too, the way they had it
right.
set up.
Yeah,
And I think I have a picture of the two of them on either
yeah,
side. I'm just trying to mind my own business and then call a show. But Slick's another good guy. He was a good commentator. Worked with him
yeah.
a few times. Great technical knowledge. Like good voice for it as well. Very unique. But yeah, it wasn't too long after that LG got his face smashed into the cake by the Strong brothers, as
Oh
I
yeah.
recall. That was a big moment when you get to see someone smashed through a cake, on a local show.
Oh yeah. Well, it could have been worse than being pushed on a ladder and then going through two tables. That's
Yeah,
even
we were. Oh man,
oh
yeah.
really?
Let me tell you, they didn't really practice. You can't practice that either. You just kind of take a look
No,
at like, okay,
no.
gonna be this ladder, those tables. Let's just try to hit it. And boy, he hit it perfectly. Like I can't believe how well everything in that match actually went. Aside from the slick needing stitches for his hand
Gee.
after that was. I'm sure all those guys were like beat to hell like the next morning, like walking
Yeah.
like shuffling around. But oh my
It was
god, what a
probably
match!
it was probably sore though too after. Jeez,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, yeah. The
Especially
impact,
if
the
I'm
crazy
taking
stuff
all the
that
bugs.
came.
Holy.
Yeah, Spike Estes swanton on the ladder, and he kind of caught his upper back on it, and then got launched off. And he also did that leapfrog move, which I thought was kind of innovative. Which he was I think it was Spike. He was telling me about the idea he had, and he was basically the thought process was if I was like a kid watching wrestling or I was a kid like playing with the ladder, what would I do? And essentially he uses it like a pole vaulter would use the pole. So he grabs the top of this thing and just jumps and he rode it down and it just mouse trapped onto Scott Lee Crew. And
Oh yeah.
it was a nice little throw and it's quick, reasonably
Yeah.
safe, pretty good impact on it.
Yeah. It was a lot of big spots in that match though. A
God,
lot of
just as soon as one ended, like you'd be done calling that, I'd be like, when you're doing commentary, you're trying to control like a volume knob, how your reactions, and you want to be hitting that 10 for the big finale. When you get there, every time you think that it's there, they go and they would do something bigger, and it's like, well, now I'm an 11, now I'm a 12, now I'm just screaming and walking around. Now Kerry Killam can't even talk, and we just keep like escalating this thing, and they took us on a ride in that
oh,
match.
mm. So do you have any advice for anyone who is uh starting their journey into commentary on wrestling?
Ooh. Yeah, I would say don't be scared to not talk. A lot of guys will just feel like they have to fill in. So don't be scared to just shut up and let the stuff happen in the ring. And that's advice I have to give myself constantly when I go. Don't be scared of negative space. Number two, try to talk in sound bites. Your editor will thank you.
Mm.
You can see how right there, when I talked and I said that, I said, speak in sound bites. Pause. Your editor will thank you. Pause. That way, when you go to edit or you're trying to make clips for TikTok or things like that, you have said the punchline, you got the message out, and then there's a break in there. So it doesn't just slur together from one thing to the next. The audience can hear that and absorb it. They need time to marry that to the visuals that they're seeing at the same time. Then the third and final point for up and coming commentators is you have to modulate your voice. So this is a podcast. So I'm trying to do the podcast voice and, we're just, people are going to be driving or like drinking coffee and stuff while they listen to it because it's a podcast, but you need to bring your voice up and you need to bring your voice down. And when you're giving 100% to that and you're trying to really get your voice doing some interesting things, people will only hear 20% of what you're putting into that. So you need to bring your best, like Jim Carrey, the best crazy Rob Schneider, Adam Sandler, whatever you got, like just up and down and up and down to get it to come through on the microphone. And when you get good at that, you can also start doing voiceovers for people. So that's a nice little side hustle. Get into the voice. Your voice is unique. You can go out there, voices.com. There's all kinds of sites. You can get into a little bit of a voice game racket. You need 100 revenue streams in 2026. You need 100 different hustles going on. If you want to make it as a content creator, as a wrestler, you need to just have a little bit from just everything under the sun. So with, that being said, as my three things for an up and coming commentator, post frequently, like try to get at least 3 posts a week. Doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're on TikTok, something every day. but don't put a lot of pressure on yourself. It doesn't have to be great, because the most important video that you're going to make is the next one. Is a great way to think about it. You make a video like, oh, I spent 8 days editing this perfect video. There's 100 transitions. I did my own special effects. I got great custom music. You're going to put it out, and 24 hours later, no one is ever going to see it again. Like 0.0001% of your videos will have long-term payoff. So you need to put out 1,000 videos before you get there. So don't spend too much time on any of them. Just bang them out, get them out there, and just keep it coming consistently. That's how you get recognized on like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You got to be putting content out all the time. If you don't invest the time in the platform, it doesn't invest the time back into you. And then you can apply that to when you're working for wrestling companies. CCW has constantly got stuff coming out, and it's always like, okay, next video. And then we have only a few of them that we will promote or that we expect to get some long-term because they're important for a storyline.
All right. Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. I'll give you a teaser of upcoming. When does this video go out? Actually, maybe I shouldn't.
All right. The interview comes out like every Wednesday at 6 p.m. So
okay, so this won't be out till like next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
I usually try to put out the interviews out like on the same time as the episode for the weekly show.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, we have there's a video. It'll already be out at this point, and there's kind of a vaguely some interesting an interesting return possibility of a minor group or some kind of affiliation. And so I got to make this really cool video for it. And I was kind of, when you're working with like a potential new storyline, like maybe it's going to be nothing, maybe it's going to be something awesome. You try to come up with a brand around a way that you're going to cut it. And I was inspired by Metal Gear Solid for this one. That was the vibe that I was looking for. So if you are watching this interview, you want to go back and see what video came out on Friday last week. I think it's for Friday or Saturday. You'll know it when you see it. I was trying to do kind of a Metal Gear thing with that. And that's kind of a cool thing. So whenever more content comes out around this subject or these people, I can go back. I sort of have this brand kit ready to go where, we have certain subtitles, certain batch of special effects and transitions and things that we're using. And things like that. The reason I'm mentioning it is because it can make your life a lot easier. If you're a wrestler and you know what colors you're using for all your stuff and you already have a logo, like reach out to someone, don't go to AI, reach out to someone and get a proper logo made. AI for the few weeks while you're waiting for the proper logo to come in, if you really are that desperate. But that kind of stuff will help you be able to put out the amount of content that you need to. And it was mentioned in some interviews like WWE, AEW, these companies, there's a formula for how they will look at people and how big their social media followings are. Because years ago, the number's way higher now, but years ago, if you had 28,000 followers, you could get a developmental contract, because with that many followers, you would bring in so much ticket and so much views that they would make their money back, essentially. So that was a great way to help sell yourself and to try to get in. So every person who wants to like make it, even if you're not going to go to WWE, if you have those followers, and then you can be selling your t-shirts and you can be getting paid on the ads, on the views of your videos, and everything that you come up with here and in between, selling stickers online. Get yourself
Patreon. Getting 8x10s or so and so.
Yeah, things you can go throw in the mail yourself. You can go to Printify and you can make your own shop. There's a shop up there with billiard t-shirts and billiard mugs. I made it. I put the link on my TikTok and YouTube, and I never touched it again. People order a shirt or a mug every once in a while. It's great. I get paid. Money shows up in my bank account, and then I have yet to see one walking around in the wild, though. I've never been at a show and someone's been like, hey, sign my billiard t-shirt,
Yeah.
But maybe someday. But regardless, this sold a few, which is great. And like we were saying before, you need all these different revenue streams if you want to try to make it if you want to make this your full-time job, wrestling, content creation. And I think wrestling and content creation go really well together. Like the only mix that was better was I was a gymnastics coach for a living, and doing that side by side with professional wrestling was amazing because
Mm.
I was always in tremendous shape. I'm spotting kids were flying 20 feet up in the air on trampolines, high level, national level athletes, things like that. And I would do that all week, and then I would go wrestle on the weekends. Schedule was great.
Oh,
Stayed in
yeah.
shape, trained. And the competitive season for gymnastics would ramp up in the winter months, whereas professional wrestling ramps up in the summer. So it was great. The wrestling shows would kind of drop off. I'd be on the road all the time for gymnastics, and then gymnastics would stop, back on the road for wrestling. It was like, whew. It was like they were made for each other. And there's so many gymnasts that are now popping up in NXT. Like they're everywhere since Tiffany Stratton went
Right.
out, like really broke down that wall. There's been grabbing gymnasts, like NCAA gymnasts everywhere they can get them. Sol Ruka, Kalani Jordan, all these. There's a laundry list of them with that gymnastics background, and it's such a perfect fit. So aside from content creation, if you can work in a sport, that's pretty good too.
Oh, yeah. Do you have anything to say to your fans?
Ooh. I'd like to thank my one fan for tuning into this. I'm kidding. I wanted to thank everyone for the support that I have gotten as Bill Yard, because that has meant a lot to me and my family. I was able to, just by like leveraging like the relationships, get new clients for my social media business whenever I've needed them. Which was only really once. I was low on clients because I was low because I was ready to add more clients. And so I cut a video a few months ago, and it was some goofy video with a bad TikTok hook, but I think I brought some charisma to the delivery, and everyone shared the shit out of that video. And then I got like 3 more clients, and I was done. I was made. That's all I could handle was 3 more at the time. And it happened in like 2 days. And that just blew my mind, because like that's an incredible thing for people to help you to do. And then that allows me I work from home. I get to see my kid every day. I cut videos. I bang out like 50 videos a week. Like, it's fantastic. It's a ton of fun. And I live out here in the middle of the country. And then sometimes I was saying to Rob a little while back, sometimes I only see other people at wrestling. Like, I'll go to CCW Clash 40 and I'll see people, and then I'll go home and I'm out here in the middle of nowhere and I don't see another person until I go back for Clash 41. Like, I won't cross paths with another person, maybe a delivery person, and just to know that I'm reaching so many people, like, with this content, and that people will see it. You'll see Bill Yard, you'll see some goofy WWE video, you'll have a laugh, takes your mind off your day, and then you go back to whatever you were doing. But that I've been able to affect so many people and just cheer them up a little bit, or give them a laugh, or a little diversion. And I just want to thank everyone for the support, like the likes and the comments, and helping me out when I needed clients and stuff, and allowing me to be able to do this.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You can't mess with greatness. For one of the best CCW commentators on CCW, you can't mess with that sweet audible chocolate to my ears.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't got enough mileage out of sweet audible chocolate. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's on the shirt. Hold on a second.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Okay. They're all. Oh, I have the logo shirt. Yeah, it's got. This is the shirt I was talking about. You got the Bill Yard logo. That's the GTA pick.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then it's got that sweet audible chocolate right on the back.
Yeah.
I got to use that more, though. That's a great catchphrase. I gotta find a way to get Bill Yard into the ring in like a management position or something, so I can bust out a catchphrase once in a while. But this is gonna be, I'm predicting, the best summer ever for the NBWA and probably CCW, just because of all the work that was put in last year. NBWA was in every tiny community in the Maritimes. Guys were wrestling like 8 times a month. Like, just flying. So hopefully, and I know a lot of those shows went great, had great crowd reactions. So I'm hoping that we're going to see a huge influx this year, as people are going to be bringing their friends. They're going to remember the shows. They're going to come back. and there's a lot of work and put into developing these territories. So it's going to be really cool to see, to see what the return is there.
Yeah. Possibly see some newer matches with feuds at different places.
Yeah, and you get title changes at these shows too.
Right.
Yeah, you get big
Right. Yes.
matches. They're serious, and it all goes on YouTube too. You can watch them if you don't make it, but they're a lot more fun live. And
yeah, I agree.
Some of them, you go to the one in Minto, and they have a crazy buffet of food you can get. I don't know if you've been to the Minto show, but that's one that stood out to me. There was hot dogs with onions and cotton candy and popcorn, and it's like a carnival they set up. And Doketown was kind of like that too. They had a lot of interesting snacks, snack options.
Yeah. And so, I guess that's the end of the interview. Thank you for coming on to the podcast.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Like I said, thanks for having me out. This is my first wrestling podcast. Happy to do it. I'm still going to try to like posts faster than you do. That is my mission in life. Even sometimes I post the post and then I can't get there, and you've liked it before I got back into my account and over to the Facebook page.
Yeah.
So that's the race, because it does, that single act alone does so much for us and people's morale and just for getting the post out there, that let alone you're doing a podcast, you're at every show. You had that badass hockey costume at the monster match, and face all black-eyed and bloodied up, and
I got booed from that.
Yeah, nobody has got more spirit than Connor. That's the note that we should end on.
That's for sure.